Hello again. All right, let's try this again. What a Monday. Computer problems and my Wi-Fi went out in the middle of my last live. So here I am again, and we're going to do this today. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you for watching the replay if you do that. And I am here this week to share with you, part of this is coming from some things I hear a lot, and part of this is just coming from kind of some common maybe misunderstandings or misinformation in regard to thyroid health. So we are going to be talking this week about 5, I'll say common, but 5 myths about thyroid health. We're going to talk about some nutrients, we're going to talk about some foods, some supplements, things like that, that may or may not have some truth into optimizing or bettering thyroid health. And if they don't, how do we correct that? So let's get going before anything else happens today. I also want to let you know, if you do have any questions about thyroid health as it relates to just that, as it relates to possibly thyroid health and fertility, please let me know. And if those are some issues that we can address either later this week or in an upcoming live or something like that, I will be happy to do that. So at any rate, yeah, let's kick it off today. So myth number 1. Of the 5 myths about thyroid health. Myth number 1 is Brazil nuts, or I use Brazil nuts to provide the selenium that I need every day. Let's take out the truth of that. Selenium, a super important, super essential, what's called a micronutrient in terms of thyroid health. Selenium is dosed in micrograms, and most vitamins, minerals you might see on a supplement label, you'll see milligrams. And when you see one that's in micrograms, the number might be higher, but the actual dosage that you're getting is very, very small in comparison to some of those milligram numbers. So selenium is considered kind of a trace mineral or a micronutrient in the amount that you need for sufficient nutrient provision. And selenium is definitely found in Brazil nuts, for sure. And having a deficiency in selenium can actually be a direct, I'll call it instigator really for hypothyroidism, or specifically even Hashimoto's disease, because a deficiency in selenium can actually cause a rise in your TPO antibodies, whereas a correction of a selenium deficiency by providing enough selenium can actually help reduce those TPO antibodies, or thyroid peroxidase antibodies. Also, selenium is super essential in converting your T4, which is about 90% of what your thyroid gland makes in terms of thyroid hormone. Selenium converts T4 to the active form of T3. T4 cannot be used by your cells. It's got to be converted into what's called T3. And those 4 and 3, those numbers have to do with the number of iodine molecules. But at any rate, selenium is essential for that conversion. So if you don't have enough selenium, or if you've got an actual deficiency, that T4 is not going to all be converted to T3, and therefore your cells are thinking, hey, we don't have enough, we need more, and there's this kind of missignaling that goes on. Selenium is also an antioxidant. It helps function as a antioxidant, and helps kind of other chemical reactions take place that empower other antioxidants that you have in your body. So it's actually very good for immune health. It actually is protects the thyroid from inflammation, from oxidative stress. I mean, it's really this just great nutrient. It works with vitamin E to, again, support thyroid function, actually to support fertility. So it works with some of these other fat-soluble vitamins. At any rate, selenium is extremely essential. So what's the problem with getting it from Brazil nuts? Well, there's no problem, but here's where selenium gets a little bit, it's kind of what we call maybe a Goldilocks supplement in terms of the amount that you need. Because too little selenium is not good. Obviously, they're in a deficient state, but too much selenium is not good either. Super high doses of selenium can actually cause some other problems. We're not going to talk about that here, but too much of a good thing is not great. either. So we want to kind of have this a little bit more narrow range when it comes to optimal selenium intake. And the problem, if we want to call it that, with Brazil nuts is that their selenium content, the amount that they actually have, is very dependent on growing conditions, on the soil, on when they were picked, on where they were shipped from, on all of these things. And unless your Brazil nuts are getting tested for their selenium content, which I guarantee you is not happening, because even if you see it on a nutrition facts label, if you buy them like bagged and ready to take, instead of like loose in a bin or something, even if there's a supplement facts label on there, or nutrient facts rather, it's going to be an average for Brazil nuts. And yeah, 2 might get you your 200 micrograms. That's about the kind of dose, if you want to call it, that people take of Brazil nuts, about 2 Brazil nuts a day to try to get that 200 micrograms, which is kind of standard in terms of supplementation. But one of your Brazil nuts could have 50 micrograms and the other could have 500 micrograms. And the next day, they could both have 500, or they could both have 300. It's this varying kind of, I don't know, in terms of nutrient quantity. And with something like selenium, and with something like Hashimoto's, or any kind of thyroid problem, or especially when we're trying to enhance and optimize everything for fertility, we want to know that you're getting the right amount. We want to know that you're getting a steady and normal, the same amount every day, rather than going on this kind of roller coaster of today it was too much, tomorrow it's not enough, today it was great. Your body just can't work that way. Doesn't like to work that way. So sorry, this keeps shaking. So at any rate, the best way to get your selenium is by a supplement. Now, if you're taking a multivitamin, it's probably, I'm guessing, but probably going to have on the range of about 100 micrograms in a multivitamin. And that's in a multivitamin that has probably 2 to 3 capsules to get that dose every day. If you're taking an isolated selenium supplement, usually those are 100 or about 200 micrograms, which again is kind of a standard dose when it comes to supplementing selenium, either isolated or within a multi. I would not go over 200 micrograms. That's especially if you're not working with a practitioner who's kind of monitoring that and following it and looking how it's going to weigh in with all the other nutrients that you're getting, because some of these things like to be in balance with everybody else, the vitamins and minerals. So if you're way over on one and everything else is low, that just sends another kind of imbalance in your body that you don't want to do. So 200 micrograms is about the standard. And the best form of selenium is called selenomethionine, or selenium methionine. Has to do with the amino acid that's used to help it break off and be utilized by your body. But that's a really great absorbable form of selenium that you see again in a really good quality isolated supplement or within a multi. So I hope that helps a little bit. And if you do eat Brazil nuts and you just absolutely love Brazil nuts, if you do kind of have the challenge of some thyroid issues, thyroid condition, whether it's a diagnosed Hashimoto's or just hypothyroidism, it's one that I would probably say, hey, let's hold off on that for a while and see how a more standard supplementation can help regulate everything. And that's, again, if you're eating like large quantities every day or every other day, and it could really be kind of getting in there and fluctuating how things are working. 1 or 2 here or there, if you love them, that's great. But if you are, doing a whole lot, I would say let's kind of maybe back off on that. So if you have any questions about that, certainly let me know in terms of, specifically selenium or Brazil nuts or whatever. But that's kind of one myth that I want to talk about today is using something like Brazil nuts for your only selenium supplementation. Not the greatest idea, just because of all that we talked about. The varied content of each nut, the varied every day, getting more, getting less, and your body just needing a little bit more in terms of a steady, regulated dose throughout the, every day. So, all right. I'm glad I got on. I'm glad we were able to do this despite computer and Wi-Fi. I will see you guys again tomorrow to talk about myth number 2. And it's a big one. So I hope you can come back here. And again, if you do have something you'd like me to talk about or a question about thyroid, fertility, anyhow that relates together, please let me know. Either comment here or send me a private message if that's something you'd rather do. And I will address those however I can for you. So, all right, you guys, have a wonderful Monday. I hope you are not disabled by any kind of computer malfunctions or any other technology issues. But at any rate, I'm glad we were here. So have a great one. See you guys later. Bye.